We should do well. History says that when you win the presidency, that party doesn't do so well in the midterms because people get complacent. They get complacent. We cannot be complacent.
President Trump encouraging his supporters to stay engaged ahead of the midterms. That sentiment echoed just days later in Wisconsin when a liberal candidate won a seat on the state's Supreme Court. Governor Scott Walker tweeted this. Tonight's results show we are at risk of a blue wave in Wisconsin. The far left is driven by anger and hatred, he writes. We must counter it with optimism and organization. Let's share our positive story with voters and win in November. It comes as a brand new national poll shows Republicans have their work cut out for them. Democrats' intensity, as we put it in poll land, is stronger, 66%, 49% for the Republicans, exactly the opposite of what we saw back in 2010 when there was greater intensity on the Republican side and they saw big gains. So joining me now, Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker, a Republican running for his third re-election. Governor, good to see you tonight. Thank you very much for being here.
Great to be with you. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
You know, I look back, we showed video of you standing in that center spot when there was a huge stage full of Republicans who were running for president. And President Trump at that point, his numbers were lower than yours, so he was off to the side. And then you were the first person to drop out. You kind of sized up what was going on and cut your losses. What did you see back then that made you make that decision?
Well, I just saw where things were headed in many ways with the national media and said I loved my job as governor. I wanted to focus on that. And what I see in many ways is similar to what I see right now. And there's a national push by not everyone, but many in the media suggesting there's going to be this blue wave, not just in Wisconsin, but across America. And as I mentioned in that tweet that you referenced, I think the left is overwhelmingly driven by anger and by hatred. We see it in the rhetoric against me, against the president, against anyone associated with Republicans. And I think the only way to counter that is not with more of the same, but with optimism and organization. We were just out again this weekend organizing people across the state to join us at scottwalker.com and to get a positive message out about how our common sense conservative reforms are actually working. But the wake-up call is we can't assume that people know that. Even though we've got record low unemployment in this state, many other Republican-led states across America are sitting in the same situation. Yep. We cannot assume that people know about it. We got to get that message out.
Well, this kind of goes to your tweet. Let's play this soundbite by Congressman Keith Ellison.
Women are dying because we are losing elections. We don't have the right to lose a damn election. We have to win. We have to win.
I don't know what he was referring to there about women dying because they're losing elections, but it's pretty dramatic.
Well, you know, but it's one of those where, you know, we see day after day these stories out there, and a lot of it's focused on not just on Syria, which is important, you were just talking about, but some of these other issues that at least some in the Washington elite think are important. When I talk to people around the state of Wisconsin, not only at the state level, but nationally, they want to hear more about how the tax cuts are going to benefit them and their family. And in Wisconsin's case, a typical tax-paying family will see mom and dad working, 2 kids at home, will see a $2,508 reduction in their income taxes to the federal government because of what President Trump and Republicans in the Congress did. But people largely don't know about that because there's all this other attention on things out there. I think as Republicans, as conservatives, as common sense conservative reformers, we cannot cede ground to the left just because anger and hatred is a pretty powerful motivator. We've got to counter that and say, remember how things were years ago under Obama and under many of the Democrats leading states like mine. Things were not very good. And my state's a good example. Unemployment when I ran in 2010 was 9.3%. Today, it's the lowest it's ever been, below 3% for the first time in history. Our reforms are working, but we can't be complacent about it. As the president said, we got to get out and share that message.
Yeah, there's another poll that shows tightening in the race. Democrats 47, Republicans 43. And it's also interesting, the president was talking about the tax cuts today. You're talking about the tax cuts now. I mean, these are the things that actually matter to people and how they live their lives. The market was up today. It's been all over the place, of course, in recent weeks. But, you know, you're in another tough race for yourself. You survived a recall vote, and now you're up in another tough race. You know, do you think you're going to be able to eke it out?
Oh, I think this is one of the where it's tough, not only because of the anger and hatred on the left and obviously motivated not just at the president but at me, but you see all this money. You know, Eric Holder was in our state before the state Supreme Court race. He doesn't care about the Supreme Court. He was here because he was getting ready to target me. We saw Tom Steyer, the billionaire extremist on the far, far left. He was in Wisconsin just last week. And, of course, the big government union bosses are targeting us yet again, which is, again, why we are recruiting people to go to scottwalker.com and get our message out. But they're going to keep doing it. We need to understand we've got to get a positive message out. We've got one. We've got a plan for the future. Republicans would do well to pursue that.
Thank you, Governor. Good to see you tonight. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.